In the next 30 minutes on the marketplace, Moody's affirms Ghana's credit rating at that's B3 and keeps economic outlook negative, citing concerns with the country's rising debt stock. We have more. Also, Kotoka International Airport appoints investigator in charge to probe the recent bird strike incident on a KLM Dutch Airlines plane. We have more as Joy Business checks reveal that 20 cases of bird strikes do occur each and every year. Hello once again, you're welcome to the program. I'm Charles Ayatib. We have more after this break.
Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Yeah, welcome to the program. The Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau has appointed an investigator in charge, Air Commander Kwame Mamfe, to launch a probe into the recent incident on the runway of the Kotoka International Airport involving a KLM Dutch airline flight. Now, the plane was attacked by a bird causing an emergency landing. And of course, except of a statement which I'll pull up to your screen, show that AIB assembled all relevant data before the KLM aircraft was released, and that the investigation process will be completed in 2 months. Well, this is not the first time a bird struck an airport, an airline at the Kotoka International Airport. Checks from the Africa World Airlines show that they have had around 10 bird strikes already this year. That's just from the Africa World Airline. The main hotspots being Takoradi and Kumasi airports. Well, let's connect with Sean Mendes. He's a former Chief Operations Officer of the Africa World Airlines, as well as an aviation expert. He joins us via Zoom. Sean, we're so grateful that you could join us. Whenever people hear the term bird strike, first of all, explain to us what this means and the threat it poses to aviation. Kindly unmute so we could hear you better.
She always said that after 16 years in power, she didn't want to influence.
Yeah, sorry.
Who comes
as
next.
the name suggests,
She
the bird
didn't
strike
seem to
is
really
collide, whether the aircraft is on ground, taxiing, or trying to take off, or in the air. This potentially can be very dangerous. If you think about it from a situation where you're driving a car and you collide with an animal, it's a very similar thing, except that aircraft are usually moving at much higher speeds. There's the potential of damage to the fuselage of the aircraft. It could crack a windshield of an aircraft. If it enters an aircraft engine, it could cause a shutdown. So this is something that airlines and regulators and airports take very seriously and try to take all sorts of steps they can to ensure that these things are minimized.
And what is the case with Ghana? Because we do know that, Africa World Airlines recorded 10 cases each and every year. The national case is, hovering beyond 20. What's the case like, and how much of a concern is this?
Oh, it's definitely a major concern. During my times with Africa World Airlines, this was something that came out maybe about once a month or thereabouts, at least. And the primary offenders in this regard were at Takoradi Airport and Kumasi Airport. And if you think about it, if you look at the geography of those airports, Takoradi Airport is right around a bunch of fields. So you have a lot of birds who come and try and eat the grains and things in the field, despite the efforts of the Air Force there to scare them away. They tend to be in the runway pattern. So as aircraft are landing or taking out, they are in the way. Similarly, in Kumasi, with the construction that's been happening at and near the airport there's a lot of debris and rubbish which the birds come to try and pick from, and as a result, you're having those same issues there. So these are the kind of things which cause birds to flock to the airports. And as a result, it's the kind of steps which airport operators and airlines and other stakeholders must try to eliminate these attractive nuisances that draw these birds here in order to minimize the risk.
So regarding the mitigation of this particular situation to minimize the risk, how do you measure the entire landscape? Because you rightly stated the fact that most of these birds perch on debris, construction sites, which are close to the airports in question there. How do we deal with these matters once and for all?
Well, most airports, and that includes Kotoka International Airport in Accra, have what they call wildlife management plans. So this basically looks at the different types of wildlife, whether that is a fox or a dog or whatever else that tends to be living near or at the airport, and that includes birds, and accordingly sees what can be done to keep them away from potential interference with operating aircraft and vehicles at the airport. So in the case of birds, this could mean putting up scarecrows. It could mean, some sort of sirens to scare the birds away. It could mean having a man with a shotgun who just fires it in the air or aircraft ready to take off to try and scare the birds off. So the specifics will depend upon the specific risks that are identified. As I said, Accra Airport already has a robust one already in place. I think the investigation right now, and Air Commodore Mountfee is very experienced and very knowledgeable in this area. They will look at what has been done in recent days, what is being done currently. Is there something that could have been done to prevent this incident with the KLM aircraft, and what could be done in the future to try and reduce the possibility of this happening again? It's never going to be possible to eliminate it completely, just as, when you're driving on the road, there's always going to be a risk that you'll collide with something. Similarly, if you're sharing the sky with birds, there's always going to be a risk, but that risk can be managed and minimized.
So, of course, we are expecting the result of this investigation to be out in 2 months' time. From your perspective, what exact, expectations do you have regarding this investigation?
Well, as I said, there are two objectives of most of these investigations. One is to determine what exactly happened and whether there were any processes which were missed. Perhaps, the system to scare away the birds had not been working, and there was no budget. So, obviously that would then be identified as a cause of the potential accident. And similarly, make recommendations. If there is a new gadget which is on the market, which is more effective in scaring away a particular type of bird or a bat or whatever else, that could be a recommendation that comes out of the report. The Accident Investigation Bureau in Ghana is a new agency. It was just set up a few months ago. And as a result, I think this is the first incident that they are going to be investigating. So I think it's a good test for them to see, it's staffed by a bunch of very good professionals, and it's good to see what they will come up with in terms of the report and the recommendations that they make that hopefully will help improve the safety in Ghana's airspace going forward.
Sean, we're grateful that you could join us with your analysis once again, and we're looking forward to the turnover from that particular investigation, of which we shall share with our viewers, in subsequent bulletins. But away from aviation, ratings agency Moody's has affirmed Ghana's B3 long-term issuer ratings and its economic outlook still negative. The B3 rating and negative outlook reflect Ghana's high debt burden. And of course, that is unlikely to fall rapidly. Continued weak debt affordability, high gross borrowing requirement, and ongoing liquidity challenges in the face of downside economic, social, and financial risk in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the rating affirmation also takes into account improving growth prospects, resilient external sector performance, and Ghana's continued access to domestic and international capital markets, supported by government's structural economic reform agenda to improve export competitiveness and broaden the revenue base. Moody's said Ghana's credit profile is characterized by large gross borrowing requirements that exceed 20% of GDP, as well as persistent weak debt affordability stemming from interest payment rising to over 40% of revenue, both of which are among the weakest of sovereigns rated by Moody's, underpinning its exposure to potential funding shocks. Of course, it goes further to say that both long-standing credit characteristics are the result of a high debt burden finance at relatively high costs and relatively short maturities. Now, these vulnerabilities have been exacerbated by the pandemic. The fiscal deficit widened to 13.9% of GDP in 2020, inclusive of costs associated with the financial sector cleanup and take-or-pay energy contracts, thereby pushing the debt burden beyond 80% of GDP from 62.6% in 2019. Now, the Managing Director of ADB, Dr. John Kofi Mensah, has justified the interest rates offered on its loans. A recent report by the Bank of Ghana showed that ADB offers the highest lending rate of more than 24% in the country among other 23 banks. Now, responding to the findings, the MD disclosed that it is the only bank that ventures into highly risky areas in the country's banking industry.
Our highest point is what you saw in the papers, but that is for very, very risky. You know, when you take all the banks, there are certain sectors, some of the banks will not go there. ADB is an agri-bank, agribusiness bank, it's a developmental bank for, and we, by necessity, we have to go to certain places. In the rural areas, and this we are there. Some banks will not even venture to put a branch there, but we are all over. So we are carrying a lot of costs and also trying to see to it that the standard of living of our people move. So if there are certain sectors that we deem risky, but we still want to do some extend funding and keep on monitoring so that these will revive this, so that SMEs of today will become big corporates of tomorrow. That is what we have to do. So we are moving on a different mandate. So you will see that the upper side you may see, but that will be covering things like personal loans for rural folks who want to go. But these have been coming down consistently over the period. I think 2020 we were around 32 there was. Now it has come to the 24 point something. Our target is that it should move further down for even the risky to under 20. But we are at the moment giving loans at 12, 9, with collaboration with these institutions that have been established by government to complement our effort.
The Group Chief Executive of Enterprise Group, Kelly Gajekpo, is optimistic that insurance in the country has the potential to thrive if industry players properly position themselves to serve the need of consumers. According to statistics, insurance penetration presently in Ghana is very low, but Mr. Gajekpo believes that the right products will gain traction if they speak to the needs of the people. He was speaking at the launch of Enterprise Live's 20th anniversary celebration.
According to the Group CEO of Enterprise Group, Kelly Gajekpo, Enterprise Life can attribute its success over the years to its timely entry into the insurance industry. He believes the right products that are relevant to consumers have the potential to thrive within the Ghanaian economy.
It is true. It's a matter of having the relevant products and also the market having confidence in your products and your ability to deliver the service. So we did have to experiment with a few different products when we started, but we got it right after we fine-tuned. We got it right. So the products that we have are doing very well because they are relevant to the lives of the people who are buying these products.
Mr. Gajekpo commended the National Insurance Commission for its efforts in promoting insurance in the country and encouraged Ghanaians to patronize insurance services.
Insurance participation is picking up, and it's picking up not only because of the existence of insurance companies, it's picking up also because the Insurance Commission is doing a great job making sure that people get value for money. You don't go and buy an insurance policy and then when it comes time to make a claim and claim on that insurance policy, then people start telling you stories. So I think that a lot of kudos goes to the Insurance Commission, but obviously there's also significant work that has been done and is being done by the insurance companies themselves.
Head of Reinsurance and Anti-Money Laundering at the National Insurance Commission, Esther Ama, commended Enterprise Life and encouraged innovation and strategies to boost the insurance sector.
And the Commission's bid to build a strong and sustainable insurance market that we'll all be proud of. A number of policies have either been introduced or implemented over the years. We will continue to do this with the help of key industry players such as Enterprise Life as we tackle the future head-on. Our records show that Enterprise Life is currently the market leader by way of gross premiums, with a market share of 26% of the life sector. We say congratulations to all those whose work and dedication have ensured Enterprise Life as a successful and well-respected life insurance company.
You're still on the marketplace. We're taking a short break. We're right back. Just stay.
Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Yeah, welcome back to the marketplace. A decision by Cocoa Board to syndicate a higher amount of money for the next cocoa season has reached commendation for beans trader Olam Ghana. The company believes that the move is an indication that the sector is expanding despite the adverse impact of COVID and climate change on farming. Head of business for Olam Ghana Cocoa, Eric Butcher, told Joy Business that the company will continue to offer support to farmers and the Cocoa Board to ensure that the country meets its production target. He spoke to Joy Business at this year's annual Cocoa Managers Conference.
In areas where we needed to go down to allow the industry to succeed, we did. So those were times that Cocoa Board was not able to pay for the farm gate prices. What happened was a lot of companies exited the industry and the market. Olam continued to be present, and then we took on some of these losses. But we used as an opportunity to make a statement that Olam is not here only to milk the farmer. Olam is not here to milk the economy. Olam is here to provide partnership and to be able to grow, to provide the necessary partnership to government so that all of us can succeed. We are operating a lot of businesses, as you know, especially take cocoa. We have a lot of processing plants across the world. And if you look at it, almost 60-65% of the world cocoa is between Ghana and Ivory Coast. And therefore, we need to really show love to our cocoa farmer, for the cocoa farmer to continuously have the confidence and the will to go to the cocoa farm the next morning. And that is what we have done. Really expanded. If you look at today's, if you look at the session, all the 500 to 600 managers that are here, almost about 100 of them are newly recruited managers of various fields coming from the 4 or 5 universities of Ghana. And it is a testimony to the fact that in the midst of the pandemic, you can still succeed. We think that this year, 21-22 financial year will be better. If you look at it, Cocoa Board has syndicated $1.5 billion instead of the 1.3. So we are not contracting as an economy, we are rather expanding. And that is enough testimony for us that our projected number of 200,000 tons minimum definitely will be done.
Mining giant Iron Ridge Resource has hinted it is likely to secure a mining permit to begin mining of lithium at the Ewoya portfolio near Salt Pond by close of year. The company says its prospecting has found significant quantities of lithium deposits near Salt Pond. Exploration manager at Iron Ridge Resources, Ivan Williams, says that after the scope study, a revenue totaling $1.5 billion has been estimated with 14.5 million tons of lithium deposit. Rachel Kwejunyako has more in this report.
Preliminary Australian Nuclear Science and Technology Organization test work confirms a Ewoya concentrate near Salt Pond produces high-purity battery-grade lithium hydroxide monohydrate. The Australian company has been prospecting for lithium for some months, and they've announced significant quantities of lithium deposit has been found. Exploration manager at Oil Ridge Resources Limited, Ian Williams, explains the company has been prospecting for lithium at the Ewoya concession for months. He explains the level of activity ongoing at the concession.
This is where we collect the surface data and information about the geology. And this prospecting permit allows us to do all this work, but no mining. We have completed a scoping study, and that's all. It's a scoping study. It's not even a feasibility study, where we look at our footprint when we announced a mineral resource of 14.5 million tons in 2019, end of 2019. And the scoping study is an indication of what could be there. It is not a valid financial statement or an economic statement. It's just an indication. And that scoping study has a total revenue of $1.5 billion. But that's total revenue. That's not profits. That doesn't take into account expenditures, doesn't take into account any of the fees, taxes, and processing costs and things that have to be taken into account.
Ian Williams tells Joy News the company will soon approach government to go through the processes to secure a mining permit to begin the mining of the mineral.
The prospecting will continue indefinitely, or for the continuation of this license period, which is another 3 years, because we have found this particular deposit, but we are still continuing to add to it by moving our prospecting outwards. So we expect prospecting to continue. So we intend to approach the government of Ghana hopefully this year, but it is subject to a successful feasibility study.
The company says it's employed a huge number of the residents in its operations. Principal geologist of the company, Abdul Razak, also speaks about the uses of the lithium.
The people we have employed or engaged on this prospect lances are all coming from the Mfansima municipality. And I think in terms of employment, we are doing better with the communities. Currently, we've engaged about 220 people working here, and we have about 50 professionals working at the moment. Some are consultants, some are contractors, some are permanent workers we are working with. Lithium is being used for batteries, like mobile phone batteries, laptop batteries. Currently, the world is phasing out from using the combustion vehicles like petrol or diesel, and the world currently want to go into electric vehicles. So I think the lithium is going to add up to the energy space.
Municipal Chief Executive from Mfansima, Kenneth Isuman, dismisses claims that government has sold 150 billion of lithium deposit at Sorpon. He says the prospecting of the company has not even ended for anybody to put value on the purported mineral.
The misinformation in the media space that the government of Ghana has sold our deposit, lithium deposit worth 150 billion US dollars to iron-rich resources of Australia is false. Nobody has even quantified or valued the deposit of lithium in the areas they are talking about. The iron-rich resources is still prospecting.
The company Oil Ridge Resources Limited tells us that they are hopeful that something good and significant would emerge from the prospecting they are doing here. From the Sorpon rig, my name is Richard Kwejunyako for Joy News.
Well, strong leadership and team dynamics are very important for businesses if they are to recover swiftly from the impacts of COVID-19. Of course, but how do you build teamwork in this nature to enhance communication? And, does hybrid work really bring any complication? It is a question, of course, we pose to Nixon Amwa-Ewa, who is Managing Director of Calvin Clay People Development.
Communication is everything. Actually, the concept of team is built on trust. To have a team, you must have a trust. The people within the team must trust each other, that each person will do what he or she is supposed to, and to be able to more or less leverage on that person achieving to do this. And one key thing that drives trust is communication. So it is very important that you leverage on the communication. And by communication, we are looking at the verbal communication, the written communication, the on-set communication, which is the body language. And in a team, it's very important that you have a charter around your communication.
And we should also say that things are really changing because of the COVID-19 pandemic. People are having to work from home, so we have virtual work. What kind of complications does this bring to, the team building effort? And does it always have to do with being together? Seeing that people have to work remotely now, how do we forge a strong team whilst working remotely?
And of course, that's how we end this edition of The Marketplace. I'm Charles Aiche. Many thanks for watching.